how often are we able to say no to other people without having to explain ourselves or justify our no? You know, if you really think about it, it's kind of counterintuitive because it's like we need a reason to do things, not a reason really not to do things, depending on what we're talking about. But saying no, and I think it was a Warren Buffett article I read where he said, that's still one of the hardest things he's ever been tasked with, is still saying no. You never get used to it. And it probably has to do with the fact that we, as much as we don't want to care what other people think about us, we do. People we know, people we don't know, random strangers on the internet, we just care what people think. It's etched in us. We were part of small communities for so long, and the opinions of others really had an impact on our survival. And now, that gets triggered every time the potential of disappointing somebody or giving somebody a reason not to like us arises. But there's so much value in saying no. Whenever we say yes to somebody else, that requires us to say no to ourselves. That requires us to say no to something that we were going to do with that time, that energy, that focus, that space. And even if we go as far as successfully saying no to other people, knowing our priorities, be able to effectively communicate our priorities and being like, okay, no, that's not in alignment with what I want to do. No, I can't help you move. No, I can't jump on that project. No, I can't meet up with you for drinks or coffee or, to the other million other priorities. Thinking about your inbox and your email, that's a carefully organized list of other people's priorities. And saying no is difficult, but if we were successful at saying no to others or creating an era where people know that the answer will be no before they even ask, there's still a challenge of saying no to ourselves. Somebody predicted it for me years and years and years ago when I didn't have too much on my plate. And they said to me, eventually your biggest obstacle is going to become yourself. It won't be a lack of opportunities. It won't be a lack of people believing in you. It won't be any of that. It's going to be yourself. You're going to get in your own way. And it took a long time for me to realize that. A lot of that comes from me saying yes. Yes to every single thing that comes my way, just because I want to explore so many things and I don't want to pass up on an opportunity, and I just spread myself thin. And what I'm saying no to for myself is deep focus, elevated craft, evolved skill. I love writing books. I love making music. I love shooting and editing film. I love collaborating with people. I love reading. I love doing a whole bunch of stuff. And, I'm not the most organized individual. So when I say yes to it, everybody gets a little bit of a no. Everything that I want to do gets a little bit of a no. And there is value to deep focus on a handful of things that really, really, really matter. And I think the more we take a deep dive into ourselves and our priorities, into what really matters, the more we'll be able to say no with conviction, or yes to something else that is a priority. So it may not be, no, I can't have coffee with you. It could be, hey, I have other plans at that time. And those plans are what you prioritized. I know, for example, some high level guys in the music industry, they put time with their kids in the calendar. It's blocked off. Somebody can't call at that time. Somebody can't call their assistant. It's blocked off. It's made a priority. It's not thought about passively. When we know our priorities, when we decide our aims, we have a better chance of hitting those aims, fulfilling those priorities, orienting ourselves in that direction. So see the value of saying no. See the discomfort of saying no. I talk a lot about the ice bath, but just try saying no to people. Just no. Not with an explanation, not with a caveat. Just no. It's so uncomfortable. It's so unfamiliar. It's so nerve-wracking, but it'll wake you up. And I think that It's a little spark of life, what life really is. Being willing to take a risk of somebody being disappointed in you instead of making everybody else and their needs a priority over yourself, leaving yourself drained, leaving your cup empty. In no way am I advocating for us to be selfish or self-centered, but I think real selfishness is expecting others to put your stuff first. Whether that's you asking people for their time or people asking you for yours. See the value in saying no, because every time you say yes, you're still saying no to something else. Nobody else gets to live your life for you. No one else gets to decide what your priorities are. Just because you get to decide your priorities doesn't mean you don't have to do the work to authentically discover them. Something that I learned really interestingly was look at who you admire and it'll start to reveal your priorities. You know, what we admire about other people tells us what's important about ourselves. So think about that and let that start your journey for what's really, really, really important to you. Not what you think is important to you. Not what others have told you is important to you. Not what makes you feel guilty when you don't prioritize it. Think about what actually matters to you. Take that time. Write it out. Talk it out. Explore it out. And I think when we have that clarity, we'll spend less time in places, less energy, less love, less focus on things that aren't taking us where we need to be. If you're listening to this on Racket, please send me a DM. Let me know your thoughts. If you're hearing this on the podcast, please share this with somebody that you care about. Show them how to listen to it. Leave a rating. Appreciate all of that. Until next time, love.